future of the world is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Without these, the world will be a very, very difficult, uninteresting place to live in. My name is Tunde Olaniro, and the program is Engineering and You. If you're a first-time viewer of this program, Engineering and You is where we talk about engineering, how it applies to our daily life, and we encourage young Nigerians to venture into engineering, and so that we can have a future that is interesting and lovely to live in. Once again, my name is Tunde Olaniro, and this program is very, very interactive. We don't only get to talk to you, but you get to talk to us, and we ask you questions that when you get the answer, you win a prize. This program is sponsored by Prince Engineer Yemisi Shilon, FNSC, and is supported by the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Abeokuta branch. The question for the day, for today, is what is the molecular weight of oxygen? What is the molecular weight of oxygen? In case you know the answer, pick up your phone. The phone lines will be on your screen any moment from now. Or you can join us on Facebook at OGTV, and on YouTube at OGTV Abeokuta, and on Instagram at Ogun State Television. Let the answer come in, and if you win the answer, we'll send your gifts across to you, courtesy Prince Engineer Yemisi Shilon, FNSC. We'll take a very short break right now. My guest is in the house already, and we're going to be talking about health in terms of how to live and how not to die in this 21st century. And then we'll take this short break, and I'll let you know who my guest is. We'll be right back. Welcome back. My guest for today is Dr. Kazeem Sonjo Akinwande, the Deputy Director, Medical Lab Science, Medical Lab Service, Federal Medical Center, Abeokuta. In education, he started education at the School of Science in Ile-Ife, Osun State Senior Secondary School Certificate, where he was there between 1987 and 1993. School of Medical Lab Science, AUTH, Ile-Ife, 1993 to 1998, where he studied for postgraduate diploma in biochemistry, also 2004-2006. Then to Olabisi Onabanjo University, where he had his Master of Science in Chemical Pathology. Then his doctorate program at the University of Ibadan, where between 2013 and 2019, School of Medical Lab Science, UCH Ibadan, 2009 to 2011, and currently at Harvard Medical School, Certificate of Genetic Testing and Sequencing Technology. That is what he's up to right now. He's a lecturer at Chrisland University, and he's also a medical lab scientist at the Federal Medical Center, Abeokuta. Till date, he's the Deputy Director, Medical Lab Service, FMC Abeokuta. You're welcome to Engineering and You, Dr. Akinwande.
Thank you very much.
Now today we'll be talking about Nigeria's quest for homegrown vaccination, to invent, manufacture homegrown COVID-19 vaccine. That is our focus for today. And I'd like to ask Dr. Akinwande, what Nigeria is known for the negative. If you hear everything happening in Nigeria, you think we don't have the capacity to do anything positive. The question to you now is, do we have the ability? Do we have the intelligence? Do we have the human power, human resources to manufacture a COVID-19 vaccine in Nigeria?
Thank you very much for inviting me here. Let me especially appreciate Engineer Dr. Olonode for ensuring that I'm on this program. I want to appreciate you too for this moment. Going directly to your question concerning COVID-19 vaccine. As far as vaccine is concerned, there are certain aspects that I can beat my chest that we have capacity of. And there are other aspects that I cannot, at least I think we are just getting there. Or let me say we are almost there. In terms of human resources, let me tell you, Nigerians are everywhere in the world. Everywhere in the world. Anywhere you get to, you see Nigerians. And even presently, the chairman of NIH in the United States of America, that's National Institute of Health, is a Nigerian. And these are people that are top-notch scientists, and they are doing wonders, you know. And get anywhere in the world, even in the scientific world, they know Nigerians, especially that we are special breeds when it comes to any area Nigerians venture into. We have, you are a journalist, we have the records everywhere. You see Nigerian blazing the trail all over the world. So in terms of human resources, even within the country, we have good number of scientists that works, they publish papers, you know, based on immunology of vaccination and things like that. And a lot of work that has even attracted grants from outside the country in that aspect. But the aspect that I can say that we are just coming up into is the aspect of infrastructure. And it's a general Nigerian thing. We all know where we are. You know, when it comes to manufacturing, when COVID came, you know, COVID came like a thief in the night, really. And, but it has changed the whole scenario because it came in as an emergency and it required a lot of intervention in terms of emergency diagnosis, emergency treatment, emergency approach to many of those things. So the vaccination also, and due to this scenario where after the vaccine was out, we now have something like this vaccine inequality. The developed world, they had the vaccine to themselves, whereas the developing country or underdeveloped country are just left like that. So that has really challenged the government, even the WHO, to say that, okay, some of these countries, they just need to also get to a level whereby they can produce the vaccine. And Nigeria is also developing or coming up in that aspect. So in terms of at least getting there for the infrastructure and that technology to develop the vaccine, I think we're almost coming on board.
All right, let me ask this question because if you sample the opinion of an average Nigerian at the moment, they will tell you there's no more COVID-19. How true is this?
Well, let me just say this. If we say no more COVID-19, I think we are just being careless. COVID-19 is there. We're all listening to news. In China today, COVID-19 still ravages. In some countries in Europe, COVID-19 still ravages. The only issue is just that, you know, in epidemic or pandemic episodes like this, they come and go, they come in episodes. And you and I was in this country when we had the first episode, second episode, and third episode. The only thing I can say we are acquainted with as Nigerians or humanity generally now is that possibly we have in one way or the other developed antibody, we've developed immunity against the COVID now.
All right, we have a caller. Femi from Akure. Femi, good evening.
Good evening.
Can you hear us, Femi? Femi, can you hear us? All right, I think we lost Femi there. Please, Femi, if you are hearing us, please kindly call us back. We'd like to hear from you. Okay, you are talking about...
Yeah, so I wouldn't say, it's just that possibly the immunity in us has somehow prevented us, because if we say COVID is not around us, we are lying. It's still there, you know, but one way or the other, vaccination has been introduced. A lot of people have been vaccinated. At the same time, some people have developed natural immunity to it. So generally when the virus comes around, some people don't develop, you know, the symptom. But we are talking in terms of that variant, in terms of that type that have been out. We were talking about Omicron, a mutation can occur anytime. And they say another strain of COVID-19 is out there and is infecting people. So I wouldn't say that we should just throw caution to the winds, you know. COVID-19 is there, but for the fact that vaccination has been introduced, you know, and a lot of people have been vaccinated, they've developed immunity against it. So that could have been responsible for slowing down the precautionary measures. You know. But I wouldn't say it's yet Uhuru. We just still have to be cautious as far as the infection.
All right, Yusuf from Edea. Yusuf, good evening.
Good evening.
How are you? How is Edea today?
Fine.
Now, do you want to ask my guest? You said? Okay.
I am a person who talk about this program.
Hello.
Has any of the regular doctor or technician discovered the virus?
Has any Nigerian discovered the vaccine?
Yes, we have 3 days to do. I went back to go and take my second dose. I'm not yet to do. They will give me the second dose. They say it's not available.
All right, my guest will answer your question. He's asking if any Nigerian has discovered any vaccine and then the availability of the vaccines.
Well, thank you. That's a very interesting question. In terms of vaccine discovery, we don't need to wait for the vaccine to be discovered. The vaccine is something that is manufactured. The most important, first and foremost, let's even look at what vaccines are. You know, vaccines are just biological agents that are produced to challenge the immune system, you know, to develop immunity against a particular infection, you know, or a particular strain of be it bacteria or organism causing a particular disease. That is what vaccination is all about. So when COVID came out, let me just use that as an example. When COVID was out there, you know, it became an emergency because it was novel. And there was that need to actually look into how vaccine could be developed against COVID. And I think the whole world, more especially the developed world that had the technology, then they centered around that. The only aspect that I can say is just that there are certain strains, because, you know, our genetic makeup is different. And the way we react to some of these, the outcome of some of these infections, they are different. For instance, why people are dying in droves in those developed countries. In Nigeria, we are not recording much deaths. It simply showed that possibly our immune system was so strong. A lot of population was out there, you know, to defend that. But at the same time, you know, as it was happening there, they were developing the vaccine, you know. So the only area is that, okay, the vaccine they have developed, to what extent
Nifemi,
does it work for us?
Good evening, Nifemi.
Good evening, sir.
How are you?
Fine.
Yeah, you have any question for my guest, or you want to answer our question?
I want to ask the question that you asked. I was 32 what is the molecular weight of oxygen?
Okay. Our question for the day, the molecular weight of oxygen.
It's 32
All right, we'll let you know, Nifemi, if you are correct. Thank you so much for calling.
Okay, sir.
All right, you were explaining to us.
Yeah, so in terms of the genetic makeup, you know, of the Caucasians and Africans, we are different. So the response may be different. And it will be okay, and it will be a very great thing if we can develop that vaccine from our own strain, the strain of the COVID that affects us. You know, so that at the end of the day, that is why it's very important that we have local approach to some of these things. We shouldn't just always be depending on what is brought down from the US or from the UK before we can.
Okay, let me ask you, how far so far with the development of the vaccine locally?
Well, as at February, I think there was a news that filtered out there that WHO has approved production of mRNA COVID vaccine in, I think, 7 or 6 African countries.
All right, David from IFO. David, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, David. How are you?
I'm fine.
All right. Do you want to ask my guest a question, or you have an answer to our question for today?
I have a question.
All right. Go ahead.
My question is that the people produce the machines used to discover that school. Are they studying farmers or agriculture?
Are they studying? Are they studying what?
Farmers or agriculture?
The people producing the vaccine, right?
Yes.
All right. My guest will answer your question. Thank you very much, Dave.
Answer.
You have an answer to my question. What's the answer?
16 grams.
All right. I'll let you know, David, if you are correct. Thank you so much for calling.
Okay.
Now, he would like to know what if he wants to be part of those that produce vaccine, what course can he study?
Well, vaccine production is a multidisciplinary approach. It cuts across because the different production stage of the vaccine. For instance, vaccine production even starts from the research aspect of it. That is the exploratory aspect, where the researchers, the scientists, the biologists, be you a microbiologist, be you a biochemist, be you a laboratory personnel or whatever, the moment you have that level of education, that you can go into the lab, develop all these vaccine response experiments. It starts from there. And it cuts across all over the pharmacists, even the engineers. The engineers play a very big role, in this, because when it comes to manufacturing, all the machines, everything, even that we use in hospitals, we use in pharmaceutical industry, in the laboratories, they are built by engineers, the biomedical engineers,
Okay.
So, and even the press people, you have a role to play. NGO, they have roles to play. A lot of people have roles to play. So it's all about.
All right, another David is calling us from Ile-Ife. David, good evening.
Sir?
Good evening. Can you hear us, David?
Yes, I can hear you.
How is Ile-Ife today?
Sir?
How is Ife today?
Sir?
All right, do you have a question for my guests, or you would like to answer my question?
I'd like to answer the question, sir.
All right, go ahead.
The answer is 15.999, approximately 16.
All right, David.
15.999, approximately 16.
All right, David. I will let you know if you are the winner. Just stay tuned and
Okay,
keep watching. Thank you very much, David, for calling.
Thank you.
All right. All right. I would like to ask one of the challenges of vaccine production in developing countries like Nigeria is funding.
Yeah.
How has that challenge been overcome in Nigeria?
Well, I would say that some of these aspects of vaccine production has to do with pharmaceuticals in most cases. And let's even look at it in this way. Outbreak of COVID. A lot of companies were looking for breakthrough in terms of cure, be it through vaccination, be it through drug. The fact remains that many of those pharmaceutical companies pump out money for research, and the one that breaks through, or that first breaks through, owns that technology to develop the drugs. They make that's proprietary ownership. They break through and they make money. They make the drug and they make money. So it's a business, and it's not necessary that government is involved in this. We have a lot of all these biological companies, pharmaceutical companies, some big wigs that they see it as business. The most important is pump money into this research. The moment the discovery is made, you make it proprietary, and the moment it's manufactured, you get your money back. So we have many of these companies that are coming in for production of the vaccine. They'll pump the money, and when the vaccine is available, they sell it, and they get their money. So the basic issue there is that vaccine production, what government just needs to do is to provide the enabling environment. the basic infrastructure that is required, some of the policies and things.
And have you done that so far?
Well, I cannot speak for government really, but I think there is this integrated approach to COVID-19, and you know everything centers around COVID-19 now, and it's really it attracts government attention, and I believe government is working towards that.
All right, I would like to ask you if you observe that most people, when the vaccination started all over the country, were hesitant of taking this vaccine. There are so many myths around it. We don't know where it's from. There's a chip in it and all of that. Now, if this vaccine is produced locally, will this eradicate the hesitancy among the people?
Well, thank you very much. You know, when you asked me the other time, those that are involved in, I say the journalists, the press has a lot to do. I think that's
all right. We have another caller. Hello.
Hello.
Aliyah.
Yes.
How is Lagos today?
Fine.
All right. What do you have for us? Do you want to answer our question?
Yeah.
All right. Let's have your answer.
Okay, the answer is program.
All right. All right, Adi, I will let you know if you are the winner for today. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye. So you were talking about...
Okay, so as I was saying, the media has a lot of role to play in educating the public. You know, we are talking basically about science here. And, you know, having to attach it to myths, to these, all these, you know, they are, I want to believe they are natural things. Some people exercise fear. And out of that scenario of fear, they want to create that fear in other people. But basically, what has happened around all these things are basically science-related issues that does not have. Definitely, when some of these things are made, you know, we are not saying that some of the vaccine may not have side effects. They will definitely have side effects, okay? They will definitely have side effects that may be mild, you know, so that by the time the body reacts to it. But it's vaccine. The most important is for the body to be immunized. When the body is reacting to it, some people overbloat it, you know, and whereas some people will take it and nothing will happen to them. So I think it's the major role of the media to dispel some of those myths.
And I know that we are doing that already.
Yeah, yeah.
Lastly, because our time is up, I'd like you to look at the camera and encourage somebody to go into science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, because it seems as though, like we all know, we young Nigerians do want to go there at all.
Exactly. Well, personally, I am somebody that is somewhat bothered what our education is tended to become these days. In my own days, I think what makes you popular is how good you are in mathematics, physics, chemistry, you know, and some of those subjects. But these days, I want to believe that maybe social media distraction and so many things we see on the social media. But whether we like it or not, education is key. There is nothing you want to do in this world. There is nowhere you want to get to without education. You cannot get there. But for all these other aspects, I just see them as, not everybody will be footballer, not everybody will be musician, not everybody will be, will go into all these, what do they call them?
Artists and all.
But you just have to be educated. And science is not as difficult as you think it is. Just get into it and you'll see what I'm talking about. Thank you.
All right, science is not as difficult as people say it is. Just get into it and see. That's Dr. Kazeem Akin one day talking to us there for the last 30 minutes. Thank you so much for coming to again and you. And today, our question for the day, we have two winners. Two people got the answers right. The two of them are David one David from Akure, the other David from Ife.
Wow.
David Akure, you are the winner for today, being the first caller to get the answers right. And for the week, we have this question: what is the formula for hydrosulfuric acid? The formula for hydrosulfuric acid. If you know the answer, drop it on Facebook at OGTV, and on YouTube at OGTV Abeokuta, and Instagram at Ogun State Television. Now, David from Akure, you can call us to get your prize. The number to call is 003-684-7505. That is 003-684-7505 to get your answer. We have to go now. Our time is up. We will continue our engagement on social media, all our social media platforms. My name is Tunde Olaniro, and until then, the gift is courtesy Engineer Prince James Shilon, I must say, and the program is also sponsored by him. Thank you so much for watching. Do have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.